This is Audio Stories, compositions put together by students at the University of Canberra's Faculty of Arts and Design, from interviews with members of the local Canberra community. Episode 2.
Ended up losing just over $5,000. I was scammed during COVID trying to buy a dog. We were, as a family, we were looking for a new puppy, and I had found a dog online. We had to ship him down from Darwin. He was going to get flown from Darwin to Alice Springs to Sydney to Canberra, as there was no direct flight. So we had to pay for those flights, the cost of the dog, and during that we were asked to pay for vaccinations and a COVID shipping safe crate. I didn't pick up on the fact that I was being scammed. My mum and my dad both picked up, more so dad, and then mum kind of caught on after that. At that point they probably picked up on this around the time we were asked to buy a COVID safe crate for him to be flown in. You can't always trust what you find online. You've got to do a little bit more research than what I had anticipated in. Probably best to be able to go and get the dog instead of buying it from somewhere like Darwin or the top of Queensland where I physically can't get there myself.
This is terrifying. Like, if something happens, no one's going to see me. I'm so far away. No one even knows I'm here. I'm freaking out. The first time I went scuba diving was when I was 18 years old. So that was 7 years ago. And I was in Malaysia, Perhentian Islands. I just signed up to a course. It was just me and the teacher for 5 days. It was awesome. Since then, I've dived in lots and lots of countries, maybe like 10 or 12 countries in all different places. And I've been down like over 20 meters and done really super in-depth, like depth courses, and been out really far on boats in the middle of nowhere. The scariest situation I ever remember was when it was my first night dive. So you dive at night time, it's pitch black. You've got all your gear, and we went out on the boat, went out to the middle of nowhere with all these strangers, and then you jump off the boat and you put all your stuff on and you've got a torch. And I remember turning the torch on under the water and going down, 5, 10, 12 meters, and just thinking, this is terrifying. Like, if something happens, no one's going to see me. I'm so far away. No one even knows I'm here. I'm freaking out. 2 huge eels that were like as long as me came out of like part of the shipwreck, and they were just like fighting, kind of like going at each other with their mouths. But I mean, night diving was the best after that. You see so many cool things in animals that don't come out in the daytime. The more you do it, the cooler it gets.
I associate tea with the words comfort, warmth, family, friends, social gatherings, cattle. The thing I really love about tea is just the way it is so comforting, and it's also just like a social thing as well. Like, you can, like, I'm always inviting people over for tea, like specifically for tea, because I don't know, it's lovely to sit around with friends and to talk, and you're just sipping cups of hot water with flavouring. Like, it's kind of weird, but like, I definitely, like, tea is such a big, important part of my life, and I love it so much, and I have at least 3 cups a day, otherwise something's wrong. Without tea, I would be very sad. It's like that comfort of having a hot beverage in your hand, and even if like you don't even drink all of the tea, just holding a cup of hot liquid is really lovely. And you know, especially in winter and like the colder months, and you know, you're sitting around and you're wrapped in a blanket and you've got a cup of tea, and that's like just heaven. That's lovely.
My earliest childhood memory was when I was probably about 5, and my dad decided he'd take my cousin and I out on a little tinny ride in the inlet, and we didn't take any paddles, and the tyres started to go out, so the tinny started to go out into the ocean, I was about 5 and I kept asking my dad, Dad, are we going to die? Dad, are we going to go into the ocean? Are we going to get eaten by sharks, Dad? And he kept saying, no, we're fine. We're going to be fine. It's going to be fine. But he obviously was distressed. And my cousin started crying and my dad was like, no, we're going to be okay, guys. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. And he knew that if we went out to sea, we were probably going to die. And if we came home, my mum was definitely going to beat my dad up. Anyway, so turns out that we ended up making our way back to shore, and my mum came out, and at this point it had been like hours, like 5 hours we were out in the inlet, and she was like, where the hell have you guys been? And my dad was like, well, we almost got lost at sea, Dal.
It was about 10 years ago. It was my mother's 50th birthday. It was a big dinner for her. She was doing all the cooking. Me and my brother Felix, our job was to clean up after Mum, and we were also in charge of setting the table. And that's kind of how it all started, I guess. Not after much time of us setting the table, Felix was clearly not pulling his weight. Mum did nothing about it. Eventually I just snapped and I couldn't take it anymore. I started tackling him, beating him up. Eventually we made it into the guest bedroom where my grandfather was staying at the time. And yeah, we were just tackling each other on the bed. One thing led to another. I picked him up with all my 10 years of strength. Obviously I didn't have a crazy amount of balance. And he started falling back and back. And then we smashed through the wall. Mum obviously heard the big crash. She came running in and went, oh God. She looked at the wall and went, oh boy. And then she just told us to put the painting over it. The painting is still over it and the hole is still in the wall.